Okay, this is the little Nieuport 17 kit from E-flite. Now this one very much was a kit. It needed a lot of assembly. Well, plus it was an ARF kit. It didn't come with the motor and servos and receiver and things. But I mean, it also came very much in pieces. And you know, I was expecting, it's only a 3-channel, I was expecting it to be a nice little gentle slow flyer like the GWS moths I have. From what I remember, it did not fly like that at all. And partially I may not have got the wings together 100%. They made a big deal about you had to get the tension on all these threads exactly right to sort of pull the wings up into exactly the right curve. And I did my best to follow the instructions, but it wasn't entirely simple, to say the least. I don't know whether I put that rudder trim in on purpose. No, I don't think so. It seems like the rudder's out of trim, doesn't it? So let's try. And well, I might have put it in to counteract torque, although it wasn't. It was on 0. Well, let me just have a look. Was it? I just want to look. I had put some right rudder sub trim in. I don't know. Well, I think we'll try starting it out with a straight rudder and see. From what I remember, this weighs very little. It may be rather nose heavy. I had great trouble even... Oh God, it probably is ludicrously nose heavy, isn't it? Well, I don't know. It depends which wing you balance it relative to. No, I suppose it balances on a fairly reasonable place on the top wing. I had a bugger of a time getting a battery into it. The battery, there isn't much room to fit a battery into it. I thought I was using those 1100 Scorpions, but I couldn't even get one of those in now. Into the front there. I don't know. I'm not too optimistic about this. I don't remember it flying well before. It doesn't weigh anything, but, you know. Oh well. It doesn't have any violently horrible tendencies. It's not terribly stable. Well, I mean, you know, about 80 and 90% of its blithering weight is the battery. Nothing in it weighs much other than the battery. It's a flying battery and motor, and even the motor's only like a Park 250. That was what they recommended, and that's what I put in it. A Park 250. Which is like pretty much a micro motor. That stick plane of mine has a Park 250 in it, and even that seems underpowered, so it's not...
Time remaining, 5
It's not a motor with any power particularly. Now, as I said, this is just a 3-cell. I must say it seems to be flying now a bit more. I wonder whether I've got it more nose heavy now than I had it before. I don't remember exactly how I managed to get the battery in there. It was a bit tough to get the battery in, but I've got it well forward now. I've got basically an E-flite 1300 2-cell, the battery that comes with a Crescendo. Pushed pretty much all the way forward there. Well, not that there's much choice, because to get it in, you've got to push it all the way forward, more or less. There's not a lot of room inside the thing. Doesn't have much power, and you almost seem to be thinking about stalling there. Good job there's no wind, eh? Because I don't think this guy would handle wind at all.
Time remaining, 4 minutes.
He weighs next to nothing. And isn't even all that stable. Too bad, but I mean... But certainly this seems to be flying more, from what I remember when I flew it. I haven't flown it, this is the first time I've flown it this year. I bought the kit from Flightcraft, and I built it last year and flew it. And as far as I remember, it was more skittery last year when I flew it, but that may well be, is that thunder in the distance? Doesn't look very thundery, but it almost sounded, I don't know what it was if it wasn't thunder. I seem to remember it being considerably more skittery and less stable when I flew it last year, so I'm thinking maybe I didn't have the weight quite so far forward. Not that I was set out to make the weight further forward this time, I just couldn't get the first battery I tried to put in. I tried to put a Wild Scorpion in either sideways or lengthwise, and I couldn't get it in either way. So then I went over to the E-flite battery, because although it's possibly slightly wider, it is slightly wider than the Wild Scorpion, it's thinner. So I was able to sort of insert it in underneath the, well, above, but when you're upside down it looks like underneath, if you see what I mean, into the cowling, sort of. Okay. Dead non-exciting, I understand, but then that's how I expected this plane to fly. But it's very, very flimsy, as you guys, I don't know whether you saw that, but his wings are just made from really, really thin, like Depron foam or something. I don't know what kind of foam it is, but it doesn't look like a strong kind of foam, put it like that. They're very thin. And the fuselage, I don't know. The fuselage it's not foam. The fuselage is like, I don't know, wood covered with plastic or something like that, basically. Yeah. The wings are foam. The wings and the tail are foam, but very thin foam. And the fuselage is kind of plastic, covered in some kind of plastic fabric. Whoa. Well, okay, so I tipped him over on landing, but it wasn't that horrible a landing.
Throttle cut on.
I needed to land him slower and more nose up to get him to land without tipping over, but he was... but I was nervous about doing that because the wing seemed to be dipping a bit, I was having trouble keeping him level. Better tip him over than... oh, and he is very nose heavy now. It's not surprising he tips over.
Throttle cut off.
Trying to get a bit of the water off him. Yeah, see, I don't know what... This is some kind of plastic covering a frame made... Oops! Ugh, see what I mean? And it's got no strength. I'm collapsing it there because... I don't know, maybe it's not covering anything. Maybe it's just kind of hollow plastic without much of a frame at all. The fuselage, of course, was already there, but you had to glue all these struts and things on, and I press the wings out of pieces and whatever, and put them on, and then put all this. And they made a big deal that you really had to put all this rigging on and get it right, and curve the wing, force the wing into a curve with the rigging to make it stable. Well, yes, it tipped over on landing, but then it's probably because it's more nose heavy than it was before. But apart from that, it flew a lot better than I remember it flying last year, so it probably likes being more nose heavy. Got 114 left, so I flew it for just less than 5 minutes. Not much really. Anyway, E-flite Nieuport 17 kit. And, okay, see, this was the battery I was originally proposing to fly him with, but I couldn't fit it in. So I ended up flying him with this guy. And in just under 5 minutes, that really went down about as surprisingly, that went down almost as far as you'd want it to If I had the timer set to 6 minutes, but in just under 5 minutes, so you definitely wouldn't really want to be running in more than the 6-minute timer I got set, surprisingly, and that's on a 1300 milliamp hour 2 cell. I'm kind of surprised something as small as that uses that much power.